Okay. So, hello everyone. Good evening. I think we're all on that side of the planet where it's already evening. And I'm very happy to be at this webinar today. I think most of you probably know that we at Centropa and Centropa Jewish Network, we have been partnering with the National Library of Israel for almost a decade. And we had several seminars in the past 5 years. So I'm very happy that we have this opportunity again to have a joint seminar with Shuvi Hoffman. And the idea of this seminar came to me in the following way. I participated in one of Shuvi's webinars when I heard about some new projects, which I'm not going to tell you about because Shuvi is going to talk about this new project. But after that, I went back to the National Library's educational website, which I'm checking time by time. What's the progress? And there's always a progress. And I run into this family history uh, project toolkit for teachers, which I saw before, but it was um, more developed, and it's also close to my heart because it has examples from Centropa. And it was just the time when my colleague Esther, who is also here with us, I think most of you know her, we were reviewing and renewing the guidelines for our student competition, which has a video project category, and within that category we have the family history project, which is basically based on can be based either on the family research or inspired by a Centropa story. And this is where it came to my mind that, oops, first of all, it would be good to include the NLI link to our project description so teacher can go through. And then the second idea was to invite Shuvi to talk about this particular kit and the methodology behind using primary resources in creating family history projects. And the magic word magic words primary resources, this is what connects basically Centropa, the Centropa archive, our educational work, and the National Library of Israel, because Centropa's archive is the source of primary resources, the stories and the photos in our educational work. We encourage teachers to use these stories and photos in their education, teaching about 20th century Jewish history, but we also encourage teachers to encourage their students to create projects with these primary resources. And the National Library of Israel is collecting primary resources, not just family stories, but all kind of books, objects, and so on. So this is where we connect, and this is why we have this webinar together. And we would like to give you some tools and methodologies for how best create family history projects with your students using primary resources. I will start with some introduction to Centropa resources, and I even would like to share with you, this is NLI actually, to share with you a short film, a 3 minute film, which is an example of using family creating family history projects. And we will circle back to Shuvi, who will be the educator for all of us today, and going through the steps of creation such a project. So I'm not going to go into Centropa website very much because I know that all of you are familiar with that. What I wanted to show you is the archive part of our website, the biography search. And I've already chosen a country, which will be Romania for us today. If you choose from the countries here, Romania, you'll see a number 77 next to this country, but it is because I also set the language on my search for English. If I click here, you will have three different language categories, seven interviews in Romanian, which is probably overlapping with some English and Hungarian interviews. This is an interactive question for those who are familiar with the peculiar history of our region. Why do we have 45 Hungarian language interviews under the country Romania? Who knows the answer? Unmute yourself and go ahead if you know.
The border shifted.
Yes, exactly. Because uh, a big part of today's Romania, Transylvania, and the so-called Partium used to be Hungarian territories, part of Hungarian kingdom, then Austro-Hungarian Empire, and traditionally the Jewish population of this region uh, was Hungarian speaking, and of course all the other languages as it was in that time. And then here you have all the 77 interviews, which are listed as English interviews with their photos. And I will click on one of these interviews. This is Laszlo Nussbaum, and show you two things under this interview. One, which I'm sure Shuvi will also mention, is that with many of the interviews, we have a family tree. And sorry, this is something uh, also very useful to show when we talk about this kind of primary resources and family history projects, that it's always very good to try to draw the family tree of that very family, find out who was who. So this is one example. And I also bring you another example, which is a family tree which was used actually by the National Library of Israel as an example. This is from North Macedonia, a family tree, which also, you know, shows this family's members and also a little bit of description with who. And I think if I click on the download document, then it's also has some graphics, but it's no, I think it's a bit different now than what I saw before. Anyway, so these are the sources which I wanted to show you and the way how to look through them. Sorry, this is the family tree I wanted to show to you. Sorry, because it was created by the family itself and preserved in our archive, and it shows all the relatives and of course loads of question marks. Unfortunately, this shows the deepest the loss of the Holocaust, and also the photos. Each photo has some description which also can be read in whole in the interview. So when we talk about our um, competition and the video projects, the family history category, this is I'm showing from our website. This says that the family history category can be based on roots, research of the roots, but also the Centropa archive, choosing one story and going deep into that. And we added basically some new parts to these to the description and the requirements uh, of this competition and this category is to basically show a bit of more evidence of research behind the video. It's not too much, but it's a little bit of description. And for doing that description, it's very good to go also to check the NLI resources and this particular NLI toolkit. Before I'm going to give the floor to Shuvi, I would like to show you this little film, which is a winner of our one of the winners of our family history category from last year, which is a very good example of using photos and stories. It's also very much fun. So I hope I switched on the sound properly, but let us see.
This is a Czech passport. And this is a Czech citizen. You're probably wondering how I got myself into this mess. Let's rewind, all the way back to the 1900s. Who is this mysterious old Jewish woman I know nothing about? Her name is Mariska Fried. She's my great-grandmother. She was born in Munkac, Hungary. Austria-Hungary, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Hungary again, Russia, and Ukraine. Her town never moved, but the border sure did. She was born in 1901, 1904, or 1905, depending on the document. She used to say she didn't know her age or her birthday, but my Nana says she didn't want to tell anybody how old she was. Anywho, Mukachev was a super Jewish town. Mariska's parents were Fischl Fried and Regina Kessler. Fischl was a horse carter. They had 6 kids. In 1918, the Austria-Hungarian Empire was divided and Munkac was given to the new country of Czechoslovakia. In the 1920s, this is the house they lived in, according to the 1921 census. How cool that it's still standing. But Mariska didn't stay long after the census was recorded. Fischl had saved enough money to buy her a ticket to the United States. She made her way to Antwerp, Belgium in December of that year to board the SS Kronland. It was an absolutely rocky ride. Heavy storms caused the ship to be 3 days late. Was she seasick? I would have been. She was riding in steerage, which means the bottom of the boat with no windows. She arrived in Ellis Island, in the New York harbor. She was shuttled through a room jam-packed with immigrants. This must have felt overwhelming, especially not knowing anyone or speaking the language. She had an uncle that she never met and was able to stay with him in New Jersey. She got a job as a seamstress and began to build a new life. She met a guy named Joseph Leibowitz, who she would soon marry and have 3 sons. They lived in a tenement in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, just like this one. She took care of the family and did the laundry out of the house. Joseph was a t-shirt maker and driver. She kept kosher and belonged to a local temple. Then, Joseph was sadly diagnosed with MS. He was moved to a home for the incurables. Yes, that's actually what it was called. Mariska, who by the way changed her name to Mary, became a single mother. She joined the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, representing the interests of women garment industry during a time of harsh working conditions, low wages, and long hours. It was one of the first industrial unions to represent female workers. Mary instilled a strong work ethic in her sons. Despite having very little means, all 3 sons went to have successful careers. My grandfather, Philip, became a lawyer. As Mary grew older and finally retired, she left the Lower East Side and moved to the suburbs, close to her sons and 8 grandchildren. So, now I know more about the mysterious old Jewish woman who got my family EU citizenship. Thanks, Grandma Mary. I'm following in your footsteps, but kind of sort of backwards. I probably won't have your fashion sense, but I might pop open a recipe book of yours from time to time. And now, in the same way that my great-grandmother came to the United States to start a new adventure, my family and I will have the opportunity to move back to the Czech Republic to start our own adventure. Thanks, Mariska.
That's amazing because we might be related.
Oh, really?
My husband's family is from Munkac. They're Fried, and
Oh,
they have
really?
yeah.
You should contact.
That's what I
Her.
was thinking.
Yeah. So just a couple of things before we continue. I also like this film because of my interest in women history. So this steam dress and how she worked in the United States and this woman power. It's also a very nice part of this film. But also everything, as an example, she used the old photos. Of course, she found some postcards, some new photographs, some maps where the family went, and all the way the project until today. So now I'm giving the floor to Shuvi, Shuvi, you can share your screen. It's free, and welcome to our webinar.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And with me here is also Danielle, my colleague from the National Library of Israel. And together we aim to provide educators with the resources that they need to make their learning experiences so meaningful for their students. So I'm really excited to be here. And like Mira said before, we've been collaborating for many years, and we really value working with primary sources. We think that it's a great way to learn about history in general and about culture. And in this case, it's also a really nice way to discover people's own family stories as well. So I'm going to show you a few things that we have in that kind of realm of working with primary sources. I'm going to start with a short video that we also created about primary sources. And I think one of the things that we like to emphasize when we work with students is that history is something that's actually happening right now. It's not just about the past. It's also about their stories and what they're experiencing right now. And I think what I liked about this video that Mira just shared is the way the student connected her great grandmother's story to her own story. I thought that was really, really nice. So I think that meaningful learning is when you can connect it to yourself. I'm trying to share my screen, but I'm not sure if I'm able. Like, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'd like to show you a video that we created. You can see that the page that I'm sharing has on the left a video that we're going to watch together, which is more animated, and then on the right there's something a little bit more, a little longer for you as educators to learn about ways to learn with primary sources. But I want to show you the video that we created, also something that could be accessible for younger learners who can understand what primary sources are, because I think that sometimes it's maybe a word or two words that they don't really understand. So here we go.
Have you ever come across an old newspaper or document at home and wondered, why would someone keep an old piece of paper? At the National Library of Israel, we preserve all kinds of documents like this because they have a unique story to tell. Usually, these documents created at the time under study are called primary sources. For instance, a school report card or a birthday invitation are primary sources too, because they are authentic, first-hand documents representing a specific event or time. Some documents were made for one-time use and can give us a real glimpse into history because they weren't intentionally made for future generations to analyze. So now, let's look at one primary source from the National Library of Israel's collection and analyze it. This poster was created 90 years ago with the goal to promote the purchase of Israeli products. Only the Hebrew banana, marked with the product of the land symbol. What details draw your attention? What do you notice about the item in terms of language, color, design? Now, let's dig a little deeper and ask, who was the original target audience of this ad? Why was it important to promote the Hebrew banana at the time? Why is there an image of a child and not an adult? What other questions can you ask? By exploring primary sources, we can gather a lot of hidden information, which is why they are so fun. Let's practice. Choose a few primary sources that you like most and analyze them. Start with simple questions about what you see and then dig deeper. Good luck with your investigation.
Okay, so I hope that you were able to see that video in good quality. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. It's a short video, like you just saw. It really, the attempt is to just explain in a very simple way what a primary source is, to show the kids that they basically have primary sources of their own that tell their story, that are everyday objects or everyday documents that they might not even think of as having historical meaning. And to appreciate that maybe also their parents or grandparents or great grandparents had a report card or a note that someone wrote to them or something that didn't seem so important at the time. But now, if we have it and we look at it, we can learn so much about that person and about the family. So I think what's great about primary sources is that Like we say in the video, sometimes it's actually things that weren't meant to be kept. It's not the fanciest thing. It's not the most beautiful manuscript in the world necessarily. It's not the most artistic item, okay? It could be something that was meant to actually be thrown out. It might be a flyer. It might be a little piece of paper. It might be, again, a handwritten note that no one really was planning on keeping. It might be some random document, like, again, even a report card. I think most people don't necessarily keep all their report cards, but these are things that maybe for the person who they belong to don't seem so exciting, but it's really remarkable how much we can learn about this person's story and their context and where they come from looking at these items, these sometimes everyday items. So that's, first of all, that video. Of course, we can also share all of these links with you, and maybe I'll be able to also put some of them in the chat box, or maybe Danielle will help me put some of them in the chat box while I'm talking. But the idea is that these are, everything I'm showing you is taken from our website. Our website, if you also Google it, it's the National Library of Israel for Educators, and we can help you navigate. But the idea is very simple. These things are open. They're free. You don't need to have a username or anything like that to access them. So we're inviting you to use this video to introduce the topic of primary sources to your students. So now I'm going to share again, and I'm going to show you about this new project that we just launched, and we decided to call it the Collective. The Collective is basically an invitation for people to share items with us at the National Library of Israel. What you see in the background are the reading rooms of the National Library, and I'm inviting each and every one of you, if you come visit in Jerusalem anytime, please be in touch with us, and we'd be happy to take you on a little tour of the library itself. I think when a lot of people think of a library, of course, as a place that holds books, which is true. But the truth is, a lot of the work that we do, especially with educators worldwide, focuses on items that are actually not the books. The books, you obviously need to come physically to the building and either sit with the book in the reading room, or maybe some of them you can take home. But a lot of the items in the library have been digitized, and people can look at them from afar, a lot of them. And I'll show you afterwards a few ways to access additional documents if people are looking for things about their family or about the place they're from. But here, what we basically are inviting people to do is to share an item with us, just like we collect items from people around the world, from Israel. Sometimes we receive archives of people who have passed away. Sometimes we receive donations from communities and things that they want to deposit in the library. And in Israel, there's also a law that basically tells people, whoever publishes a book in Israel, according to the law, you need to deposit 2 copies in the National Library of Israel. But things like wedding invitations or personal notes or archives, no one can force you to donate that to the library. But here, we're basically inviting people to do that. We're basically saying, okay, you as educators can help facilitate this process where kids think about an item and speak to their parents or maybe their grandparents about an item, a certificate, a photograph, etc., that could be meaningful, that can give us a glimpse into their story. And then all they need to do is take a good scan it or take a very good quality picture of it, and then they fill out this form. So I want to just show you things. These are real items that real people have already uploaded. We have a school from Stockholm, Sweden, that's participating and doing this project. So you can see, for example, that people have uploaded wedding invitations or a teudat giyur, a conversion certificate that someone received. Actually, what you're looking at here is my own bat mitzvah invitation. So before we go into a specific example, I'll show you that we've created an area where you can filter according to country, and hopefully as time goes by, we'll see items from your students and from your communities. And the way it works is, and we're going to get to the educational resources in a moment, the way it works, all you need to do is submit this form. So you need to obviously fill out some of your details and give the item a title, because as you saw on those little cards there is a title to each and every item. And then to maybe say, what type of item is this? And any information that people might know, what year it's from or where it's from. Now, we take into consideration that some of the primary sources that people have in their homes or they come across, they actually don't know everything about this item, okay? They might not even understand the language the item is in. They might not be sure if it's a photograph, for example, who are all the people in the photograph, if it's a document, from what year exactly is this document? And again, that's okay. That's part of primary sources that are handed down in the family. We don't always have all the stories behind them. And that's actually part, I think, of the importance of this type of project and the type of project that Centropa leads as well. When people can research a story, either their own family story or someone else's story, it's a way to reveal some of those details, because sometimes you really just need to dig a little bit deeper to get the full story of this person, of this item, and maybe you discover new things that you didn't even know. So the idea is that it's not only a project about documenting and saying, okay, here's a document and it proves or it shows about this and this person. It's actually it could be a really meaningful experience for the learners, where they discover something new about the person they're researching, or if it's their family member. And also maybe they discover something about themselves. So you'll see that in the submission form, after describing the item itself and maybe the story, like how is it connected to my family or how did I get it, we also left an area for personal connection and reflection, like for the people who are uploading something to say, okay, I described the item itself, and how I got it, but now I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's so meaningful to me, or maybe what more do you want to learn now that you have discovered this item? And I think that's a really important question. And I would stress that as educators, it's really, it would be a shame to do this whole process without that piece of reflection. And then here we put an extra area. If anybody, for example, if this is a photo that's part of an album, or if this is a page that's part of a book, let's say a diary, or if this is a letter that's part of a bunch of letters, this platform is really very specific. It's very, I would say, very limited, and it's intentional that we really just want people to upload one item. We don't expect people to scan, multiple pages or to tell us their entire family history. We're really doing an exercise here where we're inviting people to focus on the one item, on the one image, and to say something about themselves and about their family through that one image. Now, we do know that if there are other items, or if this is part of a bigger item, it would be interesting for us to know, because inside the library, we're also working together with the cataloging team and the archive team. And the truth is, this is a platform that's intended for education. But if there are items here that the archive team will see here uploaded and decide that they're maybe valuable and something that the library is interested in cataloging into the general catalog, then potentially maybe some of these items will also be uploaded to the main catalog of the library. So I think that's a really nice option. And we're not promising it for every single item, but I think some of the items might end up being in the main catalog. So I just want to, again, show you an example. So if you click on one of these items, you basically get to see the title that the person who uploaded it wrote, their name and what type of document, where it's from. And then all of the things you just saw in the submission form here in the website. So you can even see here that, look, this item is in Hebrew, okay? And the person who wrote it, it's from Kiev, Ukraine. And the person who uploaded it maybe didn't know how to translate each and every single word here, and they decided to just upload it as is. But they explained why it's meaningful to them. And I think it's just sometimes, again, some people wrote a more lengthy description. Some people wrote something a little bit shorter. But I think it's really interesting, again, for the learners to really just focus on the one item. And again, in terms of the material aspects, to try to describe what material this is maybe from, or what type of item this is. How big is this? For example, when I'm looking at this picture, right, of this diary, then it's hard for me to understand exactly how big it is. So again, the more details we can get from the person who uploads it, the better. So that's the collective, and I'm just gonna for one moment, I'm gonna stop sharing because I want to look at some of the educational resources that we created that kind of support this project and can also support a project like the Family History Project from Centropa. I just want to pause for a second to see if there are any questions or clarifications or something that maybe wasn't clear. If anyone has any questions or comments up until now.
Can I use those materials in my lessons without any problem from?
Yes, yes. It's all open and it's all accessible. And anyone who uploaded an item to this platform, there's a check on the submission form that you're aware of the fact that once you upload this item, then it's basically going to be on the NLI platforms and accessible to other people. Meaning, again, this is maybe a little side note, but sometimes people aren't aware that maybe a primary source might have copyright issues. For example, it might be a work of art or a certificate that was created by someone else and it belongs to your family, but you don't realize maybe that there are copyright issues to share it publicly. But at least the users need to declare that they, from their point of view, are sharing this item and are willing to have it being shared online. That's part of the process that we would also do about specific items. If they were to be added to the main catalog, we would have to really make sure that in terms of copyrights, they're okay. But we definitely need your confirmation as the person who's uploading it or your students. They need to basically sign off that they understand that by putting this on this form, they're allowing other people to view it. They're allowing other people to look at the information and at the item itself. Etc. So that's yes. If that's what you meant, yeah. And again, the idea is for this gallery of items to become a resource in and of itself. Like think about it: if the more people upload to this platform, and if it's your students and people from all around the world, and by the way, you are also welcome to upload an item. Meaning, it's not just for kids; it's also for whoever wants. Right? The educators themselves can also upload something. So the more items we have, I think the richer the experience can be because you see that sometimes it's a certificate, sometimes it's an invitation, sometimes it's a photograph, sometimes it's an object and someone took a picture of it, like that little JNF tzedakah box. Now, I have to just say side comment about what we collect at the library. We're not a museum per se, so we generally don't collect objects. We mostly collect two-dimensional items like text. It's either a photograph, a certificate, etc. It's not to say that we don't have a few items, like physical items, but they're usually, let's say, Torah scrolls or stuff like that. Like they're not generally. We don't have a collection of Judaic objects, of ritual objects. That's something that maybe in a museum they would have. But yet we understand that maybe for some of the people who participate or are telling their family story, they might think that taking a picture of Shabbat candles or something, an item that's, being passed down from generation to generation, that could also be a primary source. But it would have to just be a photo of the object, right? Like, but again, from our point of view, I would say that we really like documents and we would love to see, like, I think it's more rare for people to try to find a document. It's almost easier to take a picture of an object, but we'd like to push people to maybe find that primary source. I think there's some value in that as well. Again, often the text itself or the design or something about the material can tell us a lot about the context as well. So it's really important to also pay attention to some of the details. Okay, so I think I'm going to now show you some of the educational materials that we've created, and Mirush also mentioned some of them already, just so that you understand that you can use these in the process of teaching about the primary sources and the whole process of how to create a family project. So you saw that also on the page of the collective. There's a place where we have some of the things I'm going to show you now, like why learn about my family history and how I can do that through primary sources, etc. So this also is where you can find this video that I showed you before. You can access it from a few different places. So one of the things that was also mentioned, and here is the same family tree that this is taken from Centropa, from the stories in the Centropa website. So it's really, you can see how it all comes together. This idea of creating a family tree and how to do that. So there's a little worksheet that could help people prepare a family tree. The truth is, since we've written these lesson plans, I think with AI, there's probably so many options today to be able to make a list of the siblings and the people, and maybe have AI create a few different visual versions of what that tree might look like. So I think things like this have become a little easier. But the idea is that you really have to do some research. You have to understand, you know, who in different generations, who each person is. And again, as much information as you know about these people. So that's one option, to just like kind of make a table with all of the people in the family. We also have another option, of course, with name cards, right? That we saw similar also to what maybe then become what we saw before, a family tree with all the connections. But you can also have it separately, where each person has their own card, their own, and then you can include a little bit more information. For example, their occupation, maybe what they did, etc. And maybe if there are images of those people. So again, it's all about, I think the idea here with the family tree is to think about what's the information that's most important for me. And depending maybe on how many family members each person has, they might decide to do something in a little bit of a different design. So here we have a few examples, and like we said, from the Centropa website, where again, depending on how you also want to signify different things, like someone who's, I think here also the family has different ways to symbolize different parts of the family tree. So that's, of course, an important part, I think, in terms of the context, like what the family looks like. We also have another suggestion, and again, this is something that appears, I think, also in the collective and in our family history part. But I took it from here because this is a little bit of a more updated version of interviewing someone. In this context, it's actually interviewing a community leader, but you can also use it to interview a family member. And this is a worksheet that we came up with that we really, there's so many websites that you could look at to get ideas for good conversation questions or good interview questions. So we did a little bit of work to kind of narrow it down. I think one of the things that's maybe most intimidating about doing an interview is there's another question like, how do you make it more focused, or what do you focus on? And how do you keep it short enough for it to be meaningful? So here we have a few rubrics, or a few different, I would say, different topics that you could talk about. So of course, there's the biography itself, the person's childhood and things like that. Maybe a little bit about their parents, or maybe favorite stories or things like that. These are just ideas. Did you enjoy school? What kind of students you were? Assuming that the people who are doing this project are students themselves, I think again, the idea is to connect them so that they feel like they're learning about their parent, grandparent, or great grandparent in a way that might connect to their own world. And additional questions that you might want to ask, and it's not just about their biography, but like, for example, who has been the most important person in your life, or the happiest and saddest moments of your life, or a lesson that you learned, who has been the kindest to you. I think that some of these questions might not be the obvious questions for an interview, but we really think that they can make it even more meaningful. So that's another kind of resource that we have. And I'm just going to go back here. You can see these lesson plans also appear here under the Family History Project. We saw the family tree and what do I gain from learning about my family. So that's, again, I'm going to pause for a second. Those are a few, they're basically lesson plans with very simple worksheets just to make it a little easier for you to facilitate this process. Again, you don't have to use them. You could use some of them or whatever, as long as it helps you. Like they're tools that are here to help you to facilitate this process. And the last thing I want to show you is a few ways just in general to, if you're looking or your students are looking for items, like there are ways also in the National Library of Israel's catalog to find maybe things that if they can't find, I think maybe that some people feel like, okay, I don't have a document. Like my grandparents, I don't know, I don't have their diary or their certificate from it. Like, what am I supposed to do if I feel like I don't have any document or item that I can start with? So there are ways, obviously, people can look online and maybe ask other family members. But I want to show you a few ways that you can also search in the National Library of Israel's website. So I'm just going to share again. Okay, so one really cool feature that the library has introduced to the catalog is this interactive map. It's basically, it doesn't include every single item we have in the library. It's not at all, but it includes quite a lot. And what's amazing about it is that you can really search by place, right? So instead of, let's say, again, you can see here what we have in the library from Georgia. So again, it might sometimes be just one item, and there might be a document here. In this case, it's a ketubah, a marriage certificate. And sometimes we might have more than one item from different places and from different regions. So you or your students can also write a name of a place and just be mindful that there might be different ways to spell different places. But like the idea is that's why it's also nice that you can actually just search by zooming into the country that you're looking at. And you can maybe search for an item from the place that you are interested in. So if you know your grandparents are from a certain place, but you don't have any items from there, you might want to look this way on the map. So that's kind of one option. Another option, and we're not going to go into all the details now, and if people feel they need more explanations on how to search here, me and Danielle are happy to make up another time with people who are interested, because this takes a little bit more time. It's basically a collection of Jewish press. So you can search here for a newspaper from different places in the world. There's millions of pages of newspapers here in 25 languages. So basically, if you want to search the newspapers, these are all the newspapers from Jewish communities, from different places, from different times. And what's amazing about it is that it's all scanned in technology that allows you to scan not only in the titles, but also in each and every article. So again, there's a way that you can search by word, and you can maybe, if you're looking for a certain family name or a certain little town or place that you want to learn about, then you can look here. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of this search option, but it actually is it's pretty user friendly. You see, you can filter things to or you can look at the titles. But even if you don't know what a newspaper would be called in the region you're looking for, but you're looking for a certain Jewish community or a certain name, a name of a person, a last name, a name of a place, then you can just put it here and whatever we have will show up. So it's just another way to search. And last but not least, this is a new feature in our in our catalog where it's AI based, as you can see. It's called Bina. And it's a way to search just for images. It's only for images in the database, and it's generated by AI. So that means that you can write something. I put this example in advance. You're not looking for a certain place or a certain name. You're looking for a certain concept. So here is love. And whatever AI thinks love is, that's what the items that will be shown here from different places, from different times, from different kinds of items, different languages. Okay, so all of these things will appear. So you might also be able to search here for any place or any, something that you're looking for. And again, just to keep in mind, this is AI generated. this isn't the way the catalog team like has actually labeled these things, but AI identifies that these are items that are connected to the word that you put in there or to the concept you put in there. I'm showing you this because, again, the map is very useful by location, but this also might be useful if you're looking for an image, a photograph. Maybe you're looking for people from a certain place in a certain situation. For example, I don't know, a bonfire or a youth movement. So even if originally those items weren't cataloged as a youth movement on a bonfire, you might more easily find it through Bina. It's just a different way to search. So I'm going to stop now because, again, I don't want to overwhelm you. And I think that the idea, like, there are more options. And again, I think you need to play around a little bit with some of these things, and you need to take a little bit of time to look at the lesson plans and see how you can use them and how, if they're useful for you. Um, and again, I'm inviting you as well as adults to also see what it feels like to upload an item to the collective. Because like, right, we want our students to do this. We just to experience it. Like, what does it feel like to think of an item, to choose the one image that I want to upload, to explain how it reflects my story? Like all of these things, it seems simple, but I think it's really great if you would also do it before you ask your students to do it, just to practice it and see what it feels like, and then be able to also kind of convey that to them. Um, Again, I just kind of to one last sentence about, I really think that, like I said in the beginning, primary sources are just a really amazing way to tell a story. And I really, really hope that this is going to be helpful to you when you do the project, when your students do the project or other projects, whatever it is that you decide to use it for. So I guess we can open it up now for questions, and also Mirush, if you want to kind of tie it all together. So
Yeah, thank you, Shuvi. Thanks for showing this amazing materials. So I want to circle back just a little bit um, to uh, what I wanted to show you in our competition. So I want to encourage you to participate, of course, in the Centropa competition, to encourage you to work with your students on the family projects. And you can start with, looking for a country. We also have a map feature, which is now under construction. We had loads of bugs in our system, which Peter is trying to work in. So look for a country, read about one family story, and then it's really cool to explore what is in the NLI catalog, what can be complemented with what is left in the family resources. So this is the competition, of course, on our website. On the competitions, this is the description of this year's competition, and the past competitions, if you click on that, those are the winning projects, and each year has all the projects listed. The one I showed you about Mariska, she calls her Mariska, but we know that it should be Mariska. It's also here under this project. And where I also wanted to circle back regarding this interview toolkit, which Shuvi showed us. We also have on the same video project, not just the family category, but the my community category. So interviewing one of the members of your community, a rabbi, a school director, whoever the kids feel like, a major. This could be also a tool using these questions Shuvi just showed that the NLI collected. So this is how all this comes together, and we're always very happy to answer your questions with Esther regarding the project if you decide to do. And I'm sure that Shuvi and her team is also very eager to show you more resources and toolkits, what they develop with their team. So I will stop here, and if you have any questions or comments or wishes, please go ahead. If not, then I will just invite you to follow up the Analyze news and Centropa news for opportunities for all kind of BDs. I know that we will have a seminar in May, and I know that Analyze does a lot for educators in Israel and outside of Israel. So be on watch out for those. And also, I wanted to mention that there is also another great collection of the Anu Museum, and they also have a family project that's a bit different. It basically they invite students to create some kind of object, an artifact based on family history from all kind of pieces of memory. So this is also something for you to check out because it's also a great project. I was in the jury of this project last year, so so I know that there are loads of very nice and creative ideas. And with this, we wish you a pleasant evening, and it was very nice seeing you all. Anna, send us a
Good
family
evening.
project in Sarajevo. I really want to see some things from your kids.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
This will be my idea, Mirush.
Yes, I really I thought I looked at you, Anna, and I thought that there must be so interesting stories. So, and this is something you can do in the
Yes, and we
afternoon
have some
school and
pictures, but yeah. That's why it was really inspiring, the lecture and all the information, and I really got some ideas. So I will work with this with also why it could be also my kids, why not? So,
yes,
you know.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't have many, unfortunately, but we have really nice people. I think we can start it, and I really enjoy this Zoom tonight. And thank you, Mirush, and thank you, Esther, and thank you, everybody, like in Israel. It was amazing. I took all the notes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you for the clear
Bye.
information. It was very clear to the point and very useful.
Right.
Thank you, Rina.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye, Laila Tov.
לילה טוב ותודה
לילה
רבה.
טוב.